Hyderabad is one of the backbones of the IT sector in India. We would like to know more about the importance of digital in your governance and the initiatives that are key to your government.
Well, lots of digital awareness campaigns. In fact, much before the government of India had started Digital India campaign, government of Telangana had embarked on a Digital Telangana mission, and through which we have not only promoted digital literacy, but we've also ensured that a lot of citizen-facing services have been digitized. In fact, we're one of those few states in India, which excels in delivering services through the digital infrastructure that we have built over the last several years. One of the things that we take a lot of pride in, much before demonetization, much before the COVID, in fact, the number of digital transactions that were happening through our Me Seva, network is something truly astounding. More than a few crores of transactions that have happened, and more than a few $1 billion of worth transactions have happened through this Me Seva system. So a lot of digital infrastructure improvements that have happened and that continue to be ramped up even as we speak. Of course, COVID has shown us that we are more and more reliant, on the digital infrastructure. So we continuously ramp up, and most importantly, like I said, government to government and government to citizen connect is something that we take a lot of pride in.
India's digital economy, sir, is growing exponentially, but one of the major challenges in this digital era is online safety. Please give us an overview of the extent of online harassment, cybercrime and cyberbullying that is there in Telangana. I'm sure you're privy to some data and the measures that are being taken by your government to address this. Also, yours is the first state to draft its own legislation in cybercrime. What will be its role in strengthening women's safety in the digital world?
Well, as we become more and more dependent on networks, as we become more and more reliant on connectivity virtually, as we become more and more, in fact, addicted, as we get more and more addicted to all the digital media platforms, I think, one of the occupational hazards, if you have to put it that way, is unfortunately, this whole abusive content that, gets thrown at us, and also the other unfortunate, possible outcome is again cybercrime. So these are the two biggest, challenges that any government or any institution currently faces. And one of the things we have done as a government is we have, in fact, embarked on a mission along with NALSAR, to come out with country's first cybercrime legislation, which I believe will set the tone and the benchmark in the rest of the country. Now, what do I mean, and what do I expect, to come out of it? Maria, let's all, understand that while freedom of expression, freedom of speech is important, it is not right to abuse, or it is not right to harass. So therefore, we have to draw that fine line. While it is important in a democracy, and that too in the world's largest democracy, to ensure that freedom of speech is not curtailed, it is also equally important that we understand and respect each other's, private spaces, each other's images as well. Now, one of the most important things, especially in the last, that has been witnessed in the last few years, is a lot of online harassment, especially of women. Now, this is something that we have taken very seriously, and we are in fact, incorporating several elements to ensure that women online, especially if they are targeted or harassed, they should call out, because it is definitely not okay. And we will ensure through our legislation that the strictest of the most stringent punishments would be accorded to any of the perpetrators, irrespective of whatever anonymity that they might take cover under.
I'm sure this legislation will go a long way in enhancing women's safety online. Mr. KTR, I must say this, that you have been quite proactive and have helped several people fight online harassment. We have seen how you came to the rescue of two women journalists as well who approached you on social media. Please shed light on the recourse available to everyone to report online and offline harassment, including the role of she teams in your police force.
Well, the first thing is I'd like to point out, there are legislations which are already in place, which can actually be used to enforce this very effectively. So one of the legislations that I can refer to is the Union IT Act, which has already been in place for the last 2 decades or more, that can certainly come to the rescue of anyone, in fact, who complains or who feels harassed online, irrespective of gender actually. But more importantly, like you pointed out, in Telangana, we have made a very specific effort to ensure that our women, our young women, our women, our girl child, are protected from online and offline harassment as well. And so we have formed she teams. We have also come out with a number of initiatives. We have even come out with specific mobile apps. And we also have, like I pointed out, come out with a legislation which will ensure that the stringent and the most strict punishments are given under the IPC to any of those people who have been found to be guilty.
Telangana has also established the Cyber Security Center of Excellence, which acts as a nerve center in Hyderabad to protect, uplift and build a solid ecosystem for cybersecurity and privacy. What's really the vision behind it? What
is the reality in today's digitally connected world, where we have gazillion bytes of data being created every single day, is that we are not as secure as we would like to think we are. So therefore, I think each and every one of us, irrespective of whether we are an individual or an institution or a government, I think we all need to take cybersecurity far more seriously. And we as a country, in fact, need to realize that the next war will not be fought on the battlefields. It will be fought in the cyber arena, and it will be one of those wars where not a single drop of blood will be shed directly, but it will hurt economy, it will actually destroy, it has the potential to destroy institutions. So therefore, I think it's extremely important that India and our states take up this very, very seriously, and that is exactly why the government of Telangana has created a Center of Excellence on cybersecurity. Our agenda and our aim is to actually create employment, at the same time also provide solutions to the rest of the world as well. In fact, we are collaborating with a number of startups. We are also collaborating with a number of other institutions, countries like Israel, which have done exceedingly well on cybersecurity. Like I said, on one hand, we can create employment through cyber warriors and programs such as that. Simultaneously, we can also ensure that our institutions, our enterprises are made safer by way of this. So I believe that India not only has the ability to provide solutions for our own institutions, but also for the rest of the world.
News 18 Network and Truecaller are running a public awareness campaign, Call It Out Because It's Not Okay, to encourage everyone, especially women, to fight harassment while educating them about the resources available to report harassment. How critical do you think, sir, it is to report harassment and to call it out?
I think it's absolutely important. I think to shy away and to even basically feel ashamed about it because somebody's been harassing you or somebody's been basically abusing you is something which should not be encouraged. Because what you permit, if you continue to allow for somebody else to do it, it is indirectly promoting it. So therefore, what I would say is, it's definitely a very, very important initiative of both Network 18 and Truecaller. I congratulate both of you, and I in fact assure you that I will discuss with our Honorable Home Minister, and what we could potentially do is set up a separate cell for those women who would like to call out online abuse. We will happily set up a separate cell and ensure that dedicated resources are provided, dedicated people are provided, human resources are provided, which might help and Telangana become a shining example to the rest of the country on this front.
That certainly is a big promise, and I would say a big achievement of our campaign with Telangana government now joining us. Mr. KTR, really appreciate that. A separate cell for women who call out online harassment would certainly set a shining example. Through our campaign, we are also educating people about how they can stay safe online through the True Cyber Safe curriculum. In your view, how important is it to follow digital hygiene and apprise ourselves with knowledge about how we can prevent cyber attacks?
Well, I think most of us have learned, after we burnt our fingers, a lot of times, you get cheated, you get abused, you get harassed, and then you learn your lesson the hard way. I think it's extremely important to learn from somebody else's, the smartest of people always learn from somebody else's experiences. So therefore, if we can actually design a curriculum, if we can actually create an awareness campaign and, create digital hygiene, as you called it, I think it's extremely important for all youngsters, irrespective of whether they're men or women, to actually assimilate it and use it to good effect.
And lastly, sir, since you're also the Industries and IT Minister, what role can private tech companies play in driving the safety agenda? What would be your guidance and advice to them? And please share your thoughts on our campaign through which we want to empower women to take action against harassment and also encourage men, because we think that men have to be a responsible ally and partner in this fight against online and offline harassment.
Well, Maria, firstly, I compliment Network 18 and Truecaller on this lovely initiative, because I think it's extremely important as we are, like I said, becoming more and more reliant on, networks and virtual connectivity. I applaud, both of you for, both the institutions for coming out with this. At the same time, I think it's equally important for all of us to realize that, anybody, who's using the anonymity as a shield, anonymity as a guise to abuse, harass, firstly, it's absolutely not cool. Secondly, it's actually a crime. So therefore, I think it's equally important to make sure that anyone who's involved in this also understands that what they're up to is actually a crime. And that deterrence by way of actually enforcing legislations, enforcing our acts, we should be setting a great example. The last thing I'd say, I think this whole campaign, Call It Out Because It's Not Okay, is something that we all ought to take very, very seriously. You ought to involve the private sector. In fact, I would urge the private sector to use your corporate social responsibility funds to further this cause. I know of a number of corporate entities who would be certainly interested. I would also urge celebrities, cricketers, authors, other, celebrities, movie stars, other personalities, to also endorse this very strongly and to champion the cause and to spread the good word, to set great example for our youngsters and to ensure that they all behave as we become more and more dependent on the digital infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. KTR, for sharing those valuable insights and taking out the time to interact with us.